Think about crawling into your bed tonight. The soft mattress, the fluffy pillows, the heavy blanket, and the perfectly controlled temperature of your bedroom. It is your ultimate safe haven. Now strip all of that away. Take away the mattress, the locked doors, the roof over your head, and even the concept of a bedroom itself. Imagine waking up 2 million years ago in the middle of a pitch-black savanna. The ground is hard, cold, and crawling with venomous insects. Just beyond the glow of your small campfire, massive predators are actively hunting in the dark. In this terrifying, entirely unprotected world, closing your eyes for 8 hours feels like an absolute death sentence. Yet, sleep is a biological necessity. Without it, your brain functions deteriorate, your immune system crashes, and your reaction time plummets, making you an easy meal for a hungry leopard. So how did early humans manage to get any rest at all? How did they sleep safely without beds, locked doors, or modern security? The answer reveals a fascinating story of survival, ingenuity, and a biological adaptation that fundamentally changed the way the human brain works. To truly understand the sheer difficulty of ancient sleep, we have to look back at our evolutionary ancestors. Millions of years ago, before we walked upright, our primate ancestors slept the exact same way that chimpanzees and gorillas still do today, high up in the canopy of trees. Every single night, they would meticulously bend branches and weave leaves together to build temporary, elevated nests. Sleeping 30 or 40 feet in the air was the only guaranteed way to stay out of reach of massive, ground-dwelling predators. But this aerial lifestyle came with a severe biological cost. When you are sleeping on a precarious branch high above the forest floor, you can never truly relax. Your muscles have to maintain a constant subconscious grip on the tree. A sudden gust of wind, a snapping branch, or simply rolling over too far meant a terrifying plunge to the ground, resulting in broken bones or instant death. Because of this constant physical tension, our tree-dwelling ancestors experienced very fragmented, light sleep. They rarely entered deep, prolonged stages of rest. But everything changed when a dramatic shift in the global climate forced ancient hominids out of the dense forests and onto the vast, open grasslands of the African savanna. As our bodies evolved to walk and run upright for long distances, our physical anatomy changed. Our feet lost their thumb-like ability to grasp branches, and our arms became shorter. We lost our ability to effortlessly climb trees and build nests in the canopy. We were forced to conquer the ground. This transition was arguably one of the most dangerous periods in human history. Early humans were completely unarmored, relatively slow, and possessed terrible night vision compared to the apex predators of the savanna. Hyenas, saber-toothed cats, and giant roaming bears owned the night. Lying down on the forest floor for an entire night was basically ringing a dinner bell. For a long period, early humans desperately clung to whatever trees they could find, awkwardly balancing in the lower branches. But eventually, the sheer exhaustion of light, fragmented sleep forced them to find a way to safely sleep on the earth. The solution began with the invention of the world's very first beds, though they looked absolutely nothing like the spring mattresses we use today. Archaeologists have discovered remnants of ancient bedding deep inside caves in South Africa, dating back over 200,000 years. These discoveries prove that ancient humans were incredibly meticulous engineers when it came to their sleep environments. They did not just throw a few random leaves on the dirt and call it a night. They constructed complex, multi-layered sleeping mats. First, they would gather thick, durable grasses and reeds, bundling them tightly to create a dense base layer. This was not just for comfort, it was a vital matter of thermal regulation. The ground acts like a giant sponge, rapidly leaching body heat away from a sleeping person. By elevating themselves just a few inches off the dirt, early humans prevented hypothermia during the freezing desert nights. But staying warm was only half the battle. They also had to deal with the microscopic threats of the ancient world. They purposefully sought out specific plants with strong, aromatic properties, like camphor leaves, to lay on top of their grass mats. They inherently understood that these strong-smelling leaves acted as natural insect repellents. They knew that a tiny tick carrying a deadly disease, or a venomous spider crawling into their ear, was just as dangerous as a prowling lion. And when these ancient beds eventually became too dirty or infested with pests, early humans utilized a brilliant strategy. They simply burned the entire bed to the ground. They would then gather fresh grass and leaves and build a new bed directly on top of the warm, sterile layer of ash. The ash not only created a remarkably soft and insulated base, but it effectively suffocated any remaining insects, giving them a completely clean, pest-free sleeping platform. However, a pile of clever leaves does not stop a hungry predator from dragging you away into the darkness. The true revolution in human sleep, the one factor that allowed us to permanently leave the trees, was the mastery of fire. Fire was the original night light and the ultimate security system. Almost every predatory animal on Earth possesses a deep, instinctive terror of flames and smoke. By keeping a roaring fire burning in the center of their camp throughout the night, early humans created an invisible, protective barrier. It was a brilliant circle of safety in an otherwise hostile wilderness. But fire is a demanding tool. It requires constant attention, constant fuel, and constant vigilance. A fire that burns out in the middle of the night leaves the entire tribe vulnerable to slaughter. This absolute necessity birthed one of the most fascinating social dynamics in human evolutionary history, something scientists call the sentinel hypothesis. Modern society tells us that a healthy human should sleep for 8 solid, uninterrupted hours entirely in the dark. But for our ancient ancestors, sleeping all at the same time was a guaranteed death sentence. Instead, early humans slept in shifts. There were always a few members of the tribe awake at any given hour of the night. These sentinels would feed the fire, craft tools, whisper stories, and constantly scan the edge of the darkness for the glowing eyes of predators. This ancient survival strategy is precisely why, even today, humans have such wildly different natural sleep schedules. Some of us are extreme early birds, happily waking up at the crack of dawn, while others are profound night owls who cannot fall asleep until the early hours of the morning. This is not a modern character flaw or a bad habit. It is an ancient, hardwired survival mechanism. In a prehistoric tribe, having a diverse range of sleep schedules ensured that someone was always naturally awake and on guard duty. If you suffer from modern insomnia, you might just be experiencing the echoing instincts of an ancient night watchman, genetically programmed to keep your tribe safe while they rest. Once early humans secured a safe way to sleep on the ground next to a roaring fire, guarded by their fellow tribesmen, something incredible happened to the human brain. Remember how our tree-dwelling ancestors could never fully relax their muscles? Well, humans sleeping safely on the ground no longer had to worry about falling out of a tree. For the first time in our evolutionary history, our bodies could completely let go. We could experience uninterrupted, deep rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. During REM sleep, the brain essentially paralyzes the body to prevent you from acting out your dreams. This state of complete muscle atonia would be fatal in a tree, but on a soft bed of ashen grass, it was a biological miracle. Deep REM sleep is absolutely crucial for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and complex problem solving. By finally unlocking the ability to experience prolonged, deep sleep, early humans dramatically boosted their cognitive abilities. They woke up sharper, more creative, and better equipped to invent new hunting tools and complex social strategies. Quite literally, learning how to sleep deeply on the ground is a massive part of what made us so highly intelligent. Furthermore, this deeply relaxed state allowed for incredibly vivid dreaming, which likely sparked the very first mythological stories, spiritual beliefs, and complex cultural ideas that were shared around the morning fire. Beyond the fire and the leaves, early humans relied on something even more fundamental to survive the freezing nights of the Ice Age. They relied on each other. Co-sleeping was not just a cultural preference, it was an absolute necessity. Entire families and extended tribes would huddle tightly together inside caves or simple shelters, sharing their collective body heat to survive nights when the temperature plummeted far below freezing. They essentially created a living, breathing blanket of human warmth. This close, constant physical proximity during the most vulnerable, terrifying hours of the day forged incredibly deep emotional and psychological bonds. It reinforced absolute trust and unity within the tribe. The physical touch released a flood of oxytocin in their brains, lowering their severe stress levels and allowing them to actually fall asleep despite the lurking dangers outside. This ancient reliance on shared warmth and physical security is exactly why we still crave heavy, weighted blankets, massive soft pillows, and the comforting physical presence of a partner or even a pet in our beds today. We are biologically wired to feel safe only when we are bundled up, elevated from the cold, and physically close to the ones we trust. Today, we treat sleep as a solitary, highly controlled, and sometimes frustrating task. We buy expensive orthopedically designed mattresses, soundproof our windows, turn on white noise machines, and rely on digital alarm clocks to pull us out of our slumber. We have completely forgotten the sheer terror of the ancient night and the incredible biological milestones our ancestors achieved just to get a few hours of rest in a world that wanted to eat them. They used fire, toxic plants, meticulously planned sleep schedules, and the warmth of their families to push back the darkness. So, tonight, when you turn off your bedside lamp, pull the heavy blankets up to your chin, and let your muscles completely relax into your mattress. Take a moment to appreciate the absolute safety of your room. Remember that your ability to simply close your eyes and drift into a deep, dream-filled sleep is a hard-won evolutionary luxury. It is a gift passed down from ancient humans who spent thousands of years fighting back the darkness, just so they could wake up and see the sunrise one more time.